everybody, welcome back to the video. In this one we're going to be learning about checkboxes. So before going into the video, I would appreciate you guys liking and subscribing the video and feel free to comment. So let's go into the topic. So first, let's see what checkboxes does. So basically checkboxes allow users or us to select an option or multiple options from the choices which we give. So it's basically kind of like multi-select, so that's why we can just take it. So let's see an example using checkboxes. So first, let me just get my tkinter module and everything imported. So here we go, we just have our window and tkinter module imported. So let's create a checkbox. To create a checkbox, you have to have a variable and then have something called check button. And I would also like to mention that there are two check buttons, which is this one and this one. And you want to click this one, so the capital C and others are small case. And this is not the one we're going to use because this is a lot different one, so we just want to use check button, that one. And then we can just have our window inside this as our first parameter. And if you want, you can have many more arguments. But whenever you create a checkbox, you have to have some text, right side of it or left side or something, whatever. We have to have some text. So to do that, you have to do something called text equals and then have your text. So I'm just gonna say simple like option 1. And then I'm just gonna say dot pack right here. And also this is a lot simple to do. Like whenever you pack this, you can just say check underscore box. That also works, but instead you can do very small thing that is just like that, dot pack, and that lets you pack everything and stuff like in just in one line. So that's a lot line reduction right there. So let's run this to see if it gives our correct output. So let me just run this to see the output. So basically I can click it, unclick it, or do whatever I want with this. So basically I just created a checkbox. So that's how you create checkboxes. Now let's see how do you customize this checkbox, because it's kind of small, the color is bad and everything and stuff. So we can customize the checkbox too. So let's see how you do it. So let me just delete that real quick. So we just got rid of it. So I'm gonna add something called font to change the font of it, and then let's just say Arial for now, and then have a font size of, let's just say 15, and also make it bold, and that would be better. Now we can see pretty much. So let me just delete that and then run it again, and then we can see our output. And yeah, that's a lot better. I can click it, unclick it, everything works. So we can have multiple checkboxes too. So let me just copy that and paste it right here. So let me just do that real quick. And there we go. We created another checkbox, but this time I'm gonna name it different. So let me just do that real quick. And then I can just run this back again to see if the output. So I just did that, and oh, I just mentioned no right there, so that's a problem. So let me just change the bold there, and there to bold too. And that should work. So let me just run this and see if it works or not. So let me just run this and see my output. And as you see, we got our options, and I can like click it, unclick it, and as I said, this is multi-select. You can click multiple at once. So if you just want to click once at a time, that is radio buttons, which I'm gonna be uploading a video soon. So you can just go check it out if you're seeing this in the future. And now let's customize this, the colors and everything and stuff. So let me just delete that and then have our colors and stuff. So let me just change the foreground, also kind of background and stuff. So foreground is basically the text color. So first FG equals, and then let me just change it to white, and then also the background too, BG equals, let's say black, and because that kind of suits well. And then we're done with that. And I just carried these parentheses whole the long way, so let me just put it right there, and we are done. So if I were to run this, it's gonna give us the specific colors which we have. So let me just run this to show you the output. And there we go, we got our output, and this is black, white, and it didn't appear for this because we didn't have foreground for that. So we can just copy and paste it anytime we want. So let me just run this and see if it works. But I'm gonna mention you something. So whenever I click this, as you see, it turned white back again. So that is called active foreground and active background. So to change that, you have to do something called active foreground and active background. So let me just change that real quick. Active background equals, let me just change it to black, and active foreground, since our active foreground is the same color as white or something, so we don't have to worry about that. So let me just change it to white too. And that should be it, I guess. So if I run this, it's gonna give us our get rate output. So let me just run this and see. As you see, we got our output, and let me just pause on clicking. So As you see, whenever I pause, it's still the same color, not like the before one. So to show you guys the difference, I'm gonna copy this part and do the same thing for the option second one. So let me just copy this in a second. And I pasted right here, so we are done with this part. So now I'm gonna be showing you how is this thing working. So let me just run this and see if it works or not. So there we go, we got our output. So let me just click this, the first option one, and it stays the color same. But now if I click this, as you see, change to white. So that's what this active foreground and active background does. So that's pretty much it, how you customize these things and etc. So but we have to learn one more important topic, which is check buttons inside it. So basically, using this topic, you can understand if the user clicked the correct option or not. So first, let me change the options because I need to change the options for this. So let me just put something called variable right here. So this variable is going to define something. So let me just say X for now. And then, or let's just say A. And then the next one would be variable. Let's just say B or something. So let me just change this to B right there. Variable B. And then I'm gonna also create another one. So I have to copy all this part. So let me just do that real quick. And we should be done, I guess, with that part. So let me just paste it right here. And also let me just put the checkbox. And we're done with this part. So I also packed it and stuff. But I also want to define to this one. So I'm just gonna say C. So there are basically three options, right? Option 1, option 2, and option 3. But now, whenever we hover over these somethings like these A and something, it's just gonna say A is not defined. To fix that, we have to do something called A equals int variable. And this can be whatever you want. It can be Boolean variable. So let me just change the Boolean. So if it's Boolean, it's gonna return true or false. And if it's int variable, it's gonna return 1 and 0. So if it's 1 and 0, it means 1 means true, 0 means false. So that's how computer code works. So let me just change this back to int variable. And if you, by default, by the way, it's gonna be in an int variable too. So you don't have to worry about that, but still you have to define this. So that's why we are creating right here. So let me just do that real quick. And we created our three variables and our error is no longer appearing. So if I hover over it, as you see, it's a variable, int variable and stuff. So, and the same thing for these two. So now we are done with these, but we never have a function that's gonna check or if it's correct or not. So let me just create a function. Let's just say selection check because it's basically gonna see if we selected and if that's correct or not. So let me just say if x.get, which if it's true or not, equals, let's just say if it's true, which means they check that box, and let's just say y.get, which I mean, oh wait, we never defined x and y, so let me just change to b, and let's just change this to a. So basically, whenever a and b are selected, it's gonna be equal to 1. It's gonna do this thing what we have. So let's just say you got something, so let's just say 2 out of 2, and let me just type 2 right there. 2 out of 2. So basically you got 2 out of 2 correct. So let me just type correct 2 there. And we're done with this part. So basically A and B are the correct options. And let's just create an elif statement that basically says a.get a equals 1 whenever a.get, which is a value, equals 1, or let's just say b.get and the value is equal to 1. It should say 1 out of 2 correct. So let me just say 1 out of 2 correct. So that's basically what it's gonna say. And the last one, which is our else statement, is gonna say just you got none correct. So let's just say you got none correct. So you got none correct, and we're done with that. So whenever the if statement, if everything is done, I just want to separate this. So I'm just gonna use this poor thing. So we're done with that. So basically, whenever the if statement or the elif statement is done, it's just gonna print this thing so that we don't mess up. So let me just run this real quick and see if we get our output. So we got our output. Let me just pick option 1, and it didn't print us because we are not giving the command. So to do that, we have to do something called command right here. So whenever this triggers, it's gonna go to the specific function. So let me just do selection check, where is it? And there we go. We are done with that. And the same thing for these checkbox 1 and checkbox 2. So let me just do that in a second. So let me just give their command and then give the selection check. I'm done with that part, and I'm gonna do with the last part, selection check. Well, let me just keep the command and then keep the selection check. So we're done with this part, so we don't have to worry about that. Now let me just see if my code works or not. So I just run this. So let's just say I pick option 3. You got none correct. So because option 3 is not the correct option. And let's just say I pick option 1. 1 out of 2 correct, because option 1 is the correct option. So let's just say I pick option 2. 1 out of correct, and it's also printed as 2 out of correct because we selected option 1 before, so that's why it basically did it. And let me just say I select both of those, and 2 out of 2 correct. So when I click option 1, it said 1 out of 2 correct, but after that it just gave us 2 out of 2 correct. And this thing basically I did so that it separates my line. As you see, I did. And I can even change this to C, B, or whatever you want. So that's basically, you can also create a quiz game outside with these. So it's a lot of fun with checkboxes. So I guess that's it for today's video. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.